Leuk dat je weer luistert naar een nieuwe aflevering van de Interieur Club Podcast. Mijn naam is Timo en dit is aflevering 170. De gast in deze podcast is de art director van Moooi, Christie Wright. We gaan het hebben over Milan Design Week 2025. Deze podcast is in het Engels.
You know, Marcel always says that Milan is like the New Year's of design. And I think that, you know, for us, it's a time to reflect on where we've been and where we want to head. And so for us, it's a kind of huge momentum push to make us reflect, to do better, to think about where are we headed and make a push to show new things and new directions and new ideas.
Wij zijn er weer bij op Design District in Rotterdam. Wij verzorgen alle dagen van Design District een mooi programma. We openen iedere dag deze vakbeurs voor interieurprofessionals om 11 uur met een mooie inspirerende talk. Wil jij erbij zijn? Ga dan naar onze website www.deinterieurclub om jezelf op te geven en voor een gratis kaartje voor Design District 2025. We gaan beginnen met de podcast. Heel veel plezier met luisteren. Alright, so today we're taking you behind the scenes of Milan Design Week 2025. One of the most inspiring weeks in the design calendar, and my guest is someone who plays a key role in shaping out one of the most iconic presentations each year. Christie Wright, art director at Moooi, welcome.
Thank you.
Christie, for our listeners who maybe not know you yet, can you tell us about your role at Moooi?
Yes, of course. Well, I came to Amsterdam in 2011, and I met Marcel Wanders and worked at his studio for many years. And that led me to my position at Moooi, which is art director. So for the last 7 years, I've been working with Marcel Wanders directly for the brand Moooi. Really exciting, the job. I do a lot of things at Moooi. I'm involved in all aspects of the brand, from communications to curation to exhibitions to interior design and now some product development under the name of Moooi. So I always say that I'm super blessed to have my job. I'm very lucky. And it's wonderful also to work with Marcel, who is a source of inspiration as well.
Yeah, how is it to work with Marcel Wanders?
Well, I always say that once you work with Marcel for a decade, then it's all okay.
Yeah?
It's a bit like a relationship that requires trust and building trust over the years and mutual respect. So yeah, it's great. I mean, he always is sharper than you. You know, he can come in and give you that angle that you haven't considered yet. And yeah, somebody at such a high level as Marcel, it's really wonderful to be able to work together with someone like that.
Yeah, and you have been with Moooi for 7 years now.
Uh-huh.
How would you describe the creative DNA of the brand?
Yes. Well, I mean, Marcel founded the brand Moooi to stop the boring business. So that is always in the DNA of what we do. We're on a mission now to create creative luxury for well-curated life. I still think that is a mission that is noble and unique in the industry. You know, we always try to be surprising and original, curating original designs, nice ideas. The brand DNA used to be a bit rebellious, and now we say we're a bit more provocative. As we mature, we need to continue to inspire and to grow up in the brand.
Yeah.
Since I've been there the last 7 years, I think my first Milan was, 2018. And that was the introduction of a new direction for the brand. That was the year of the Museum of Extinct Animals. And from that year on, we started developing our own surface design. So that was something that I've been very involved in. And with that development, we started to really explore like all the senses around an interior and product. So we've been working on the tactility and surfaces, and audio has become part of the brand DNA, and scent, and how scent can enhance an interior design. So that has been an evolution in the last 7 years a bit.
Yeah, and let's go to Milan 2025. Last year you were at an external location.
Yeah.
Also a really surprising presentation. This year you choose to do it in the store and on the fair. Why did you make that decision?
Yeah, well, actually we had 3 locations.
3, wow.
Yeah, so that was the biggest challenge of the year. Well, I think, you know, we were in that space for the last 3 years, and it was like kind of like a trilogy of exploring a space. And last year we had a very nice presentation where we introduced a concept called the living room. And that is something that we continue to work on this year. And yeah, it was really surprising in the way that we used lighting in the space. And Marcel is interested in having lighting evolve into an active part of our interiors. So this year we decided, okay, we've been around since 24 years now, and it was time for us to go to the fair. And then I think, and then we had this opportunity also to open a store at the same time. So it was, and the third location was a kind of preview of a ceramic tile collection that we're launching in September. So I think the challenge this year was to show like the versatility of the brand, to show ourselves in different settings, and to show like the breadth of what Moooi is. I think the fair for me was the most interesting and rewarding part of the experience, because I think, we're always a little bit shy about ourselves, and we could really, exercise our muscles and show like that we were convincing and special in the fair. And we had a lot of good response and a lot of new audience. And so that was the main purpose.
Yeah. What did you do on the fair? What was the presentation about?
Yeah, I think, what we wanted to do is, for us, we were introducing the brand to a lot of people that had never seen us before. Surprising, but true. I mean, a lot of people had not heard of Moooi. So it was important to show, where we are in this year. Our change to be more, let's say, quiet in our color palette, things like this. And then also like all our heritage products. I mean, I think, we put a perch tree in the space, for example, because a lot of people see copies of Moooi lighting, and it was really great to show the heritage product and say, we are the originators of those designs.
Yeah. And a lot of people go to Milan Design Week, but they stay in town. What's the difference in audience on the fair and in town?
Oh, it's funny because I think like actually everybody goes to both, but it is a bit true. Designers try to go to the fair. I think when you're at the fair as a designer, you're shopping. I mean, also as a buyer, you're shopping for product. And it's like a one-stop shop. So it's very intense that day. And when you're if you're in the city, then you have to make choices about what brands you go see. And it's a very different experience. So I think the fair is great because, like I said, it's very intense and you can see everything in one go.
Did you bring any new materials, colors, or what did you do on your presentations? What was it about? Can you tell a little bit about it?
Yeah, we always try to introduce new products in Milan and new ideas. But in particular, I would say the highlight of one of the things that we showed this year was an evolution of what we showed last year, which is the idea of the living room, and to create lighting that changes in your space. So the product development team worked on a concept called the living pebble, and it's like an insert inside the canopy, kind of a hidden technology device that allows the existing Moooi lighting to change in the dimness of the lighting and to also move, like to slowly turn in a circle. And there are different modes where it can be more active or more quiet. And this is the first step for us in exploring like how to evolve lighting in the whole room and how to create something that's more poetic and active, very much like the lighting on the outside of the space and how it evolves during the day.
Yeah, and you have a lot of collaborations with creatives. I also met Andrés Reisinger in your store. That was really cool. Yeah. How are they part of Milan Design Week? How do you do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I did see that you featured him. That's very nice. I think we always, at Moooi, we're a curatorial brand. So we've always put product designers on the pedestal to tell their stories. But over the years, we also found other ways to collaborate with, digital artists or visual artists. So with Andrés, this year we had 3 artists with us and they participated in different ways. Andrés Reisinger did the facade of the store. That's his takeover concept. And we always like to collaborate with people for longer periods of time. So he has done the Hortensia chair, and we've taken it into the brand quite some years ago now, and thought it was a nice thing to do to open the store with him. We also had Ada Sokol, the digital content artist. She has already also worked with us several times. I met her on the project with Gentle Monster that we did many years ago, and then she did some Milan with us a couple of years ago, but it was an evolution of her digital animals and our ideas about the animals and how they inspire our surfaces. And we also invited Antoine Peters, who I'm sure every Dutch person knows, and he is in a kind of transition into visual art now, and we brought some of his sculptures with us, his space garments.
Personally, was there like a specific piece or product which you personally really, really like or love? Or is it hard to say as an art director to point something out?
Well, I mean, I think if we're talking about a Moooi product, then I think that our launch this year of the hay bale lounge chair is particularly special for me because, I met Nicholas Baker many years ago in New York, and he is someone from the south part of the U.S. I also am. And he now is in New York, and he wanted to make this kind of piece of furniture that was inspired by his childhood and how he used to stack hay bales and create these magical worlds and pieces of furniture. And for me, it was really funny to go to Milan with a hay bale, it's like Milan with all its attitude about design, and to take such a funny piece, I think was special. And we really wanted to elevate that concept to the highest level. So I think the final result was really beautiful and sophisticated, but the concept is really like personal and light and from his childhood.
Yeah, and what kind of reaction did you get from the visitors in the store, but on the fair?
Well, like I said, at the fair, they were surprised, asking lots of questions to get to know who we were. And at the store, I think it was hard to see things at the store. It was so busy and crowded. So that was something I think we have to think about for next year. But for us, it was really important to just open a store, just a plain store. Because if we would have done anything else in that space during this week, I think people would not have understood that we were really opening a permanent space. So it was something that I feel like we had to do it that way. And that's why we brought Andrés with us to have a kind of special component to that. And then I think everybody liked, I think we always get like positive feedback. And it was different at both locations, but always good.
And also, can you tell something about the third location you had?
Yeah. Well, that was a smaller presentation, but it was with a collaborator that we are going to launch with in September, ABK Ceramics. They have a small showroom there in Milan already. They're Italian ceramic tile brand. And we did a little preview. So that was really fun because it was something, that was just extra on what we were doing. And they're just so great to work with. They started out like, okay, we're going to do a little preview of the product that's coming in September. And then it evolved into like, we're going to take over this parking lot and create a whole park. So it grew, and it was really fun to get to know the client. And I think we're going to make like something very exciting in September. And at that location, there was a big billboard with Ada Sokol's animal on it as well. So it was nice to also be able to connect the three locations with Ada's work. And we had her featured on all three spots. And it was a way to kind of unite what we were doing across the three spaces.
Yeah, nice. And if you look at Milan Design 2025, did you have time to go into town also?
I did. Normally I don't. I have to admit, it's really hard to get out. But because we had three spaces, I felt free to disappear, so to say, and see some things. So I spent quite some time this time. I went to a lot of brands, Gucci, Hermes, Google, Muji, Kia. And I also was able to do one day at the fair, just looking at other brands. And I also went to Alcova. So
wow, you did a lot.
I did. I tried to do the full circle of, more, let's say, up and coming designers, the brands, the professional brands on the fair. And then also I just love to see like the big fashion brands and immersive experiences I'd like to see as well. So yeah, I went to Audi too. Audi too.
Yeah. Studio Drift.
Studio Drift. Yeah, that was nice because it was open late and you could go hang out there at midnight. So nice.
And what were some of the most inspiring things you saw, big or small, or newbies in town? Or
it's funny because it's like don't get impressed easy. I mean, of course, like all the immersive experiences are impressive, but they are for me very far away from product design. I have to say a couple things I saw at Alcova were nice. There was a Argentinian carpet flooring brand, El Espartano, and they do these kind of wool carpets, these gigantic, huge, they'd made these huge carpets in an old facade of an old villa there on the Alcova, one of the compounds there. And it was beautiful, kind of like this. They collaborated with this 82-year-old Argentinian, very famous conceptual artist from the 60s and 70s. And she made these big kind of tapestry carpets of her old paintings. She used to make these very colorful paintings in the 60s called living sculpture. She would make them out of mattresses and she would color them with bright colors. And this Argentinian carpet brand had turned them into big carpets with 100% Argentinian wool. And it was just so wonderful to put like this 82-year-old artist on the pedestal and to make something so modern and then put it in the frame of this old building. They had hung them in the arches of the facade. I thought that was really wonderful. I'd not heard of the brand before, so a nice introduction. And also, I saw also at Alcova, there is a designer that works also with Moooi. He's part of a collective called Studio Loop Loop. And he has been for many years into exploring anodization on metal. And in recent years, he now has developed a technique to do vegetable dyeing anodization. So I'm a huge fan of that project. I support him 100%. I think it's wonderful when designers are trying to develop new materials and new techniques and to do something so industrial with vegetable dyeing. I think is great.
Yeah. And are you also curating for the Moooi collection in Milan, or is it something you're not?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. We're always looking for things. Yeah, always on the lookout. So.
And was there something you thought, that could be nice for the collection?
Not so much. No, not this year. No, because right now, actually, at Moooi, we have quite a few projects that we're really excited about. So that will take us through the next couple years. But no, nothing. Yeah, it's very. You run around, you see a few things, and you meet people, but nothing stuck for me this time.
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet.
Who knows? And did you notice any themes or trends in this year's presentations which you saw? Some recurring things?
Yeah, I mean, we hate trends, so but I used to work for the trend in the trend industry with Leadify. So, of course, I have an eye for seeing those trends. And unfortunately, I saw a lot of like silver furniture, chrome, cold, boxy design. And I just thought that's so strange that in 2025, that's the trend.
Why?
I just think like we're in a political environment now where like humanity is so important and what is happening to the earth is important, and we should be talking about working on better materials and more humanity in our design and more poetry and beauty and natural materials. And so for me that was a bit strange. Maybe it is somehow a reaction to the times, but I would rather see a more positive reaction to the times.
Any more trends or things you saw?
Well, I mean, there's definitely, for me, it's funny because people talked a lot about immersive experiences this time. And I think, you have these fashion brands, a lot of brands in general making these immersive experiences where they'll invite an artist to create something. And then you have all of these, let's say, traditional interior brands who are presenting product. So I always think it's so strange that there's like just these two worlds and they stay fixed and there's not a lot of crossover. So yeah, at Moooi, I think we really try to find a way to bridge that gap. Of course, we do not have like luxury fashion brand budgets, but we definitely want to show that, we're not just here to sell product. We're here to create experiences and to touch the senses. And we need to do that in ways where we do have some emotional, not necessarily immersive things happening in our presentation, but we want to like leave people with an impression, that a lasting impression where it touches them in some way. So yeah, that trend of just, the two sides was very obvious for me this year, more than ever.
Yeah. Something that surprised you, either in a good or unexpected way?
Well, I like to have no expectations. So it's funny because sometimes in Milan, I go to presentations in a space that maybe we wanted to rent in the past. So I was in the old neighborhood of Salona del Suti, where we were like the last 3 years. And I thought, okay, we liked that neighborhood so much. We went and had lunch in our old neighborhood and saw our old friends there. And I thought, okay, let's just stop by and see what's in the old space. And I didn't know what was there. I had no expectations. And I walked in and it was a presentation from I think it's a French perfume brand, Marc-Antoine Barvois. Never heard of them before, but they make a fragrance. I think it's relatively a small concept. They have different fragrances and they wanted to introduce a new fragrance, but they wanted to create a physical experience of what they were inspired by for the smell. So you went into kind of a space, you were going through the darkness into the light, but you had to really physically struggle to get through this black space with ropes. And I had a bit of a panic in the middle.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So there's this one moment where you feel like you're not going to get through it. And then you see the light and then the smell is there and they had audio. And then through the rest of the space, they did a kind of exhibition to show their process of how they designed the space and how they developed the scent. And it was really nice to see how they used the space, but also I think they were very convincing in what they were trying to achieve, which was a physical experience of a scent.
Yeah. And if you go back to your work as an art director, how do you personally stay inspired and avoid repetition? Especially every year you have a presentation in Milan.
Yeah, I don't see it as something to avoid repetition because, Marcel always says that Milan is like the New Year's of design. And I think that, for us, it's a time to reflect on where we have been and where we want to head. And so for us, it's a kind of huge momentum push to, make us reflect, to do better, to think about where are we headed and make a push to show new things and new directions and new ideas. So it's always evolving. Marcel is full of ideas also. And Moooi really has to stay at the forefront of design. So we need to constantly be pushing ourselves. And this is the moment to push yourself forward. So yeah, there's always room for inspiration and ideas and never feel bored or repetitive about the experience.
That's great. And is there something you want to try in future presentations? What are you thinking of, like 2026 or maybe like in 5 years? Or what's something you want? What's your goal or something you see?
Yeah, well, we've had like so many ideas we'd love to achieve. I think it's always about timing, right place, right time, right situation. A couple years ago, we had an idea to do something very massive and to do it really outside of the main city center. And so that's something that I still wish that we would have done or we could do. It was too close to COVID times. It was I think it was the year right after COVID. And so we thought it was too risky to do something like that at that moment. But it's something that I think is still like in our minds that we would still like to do. And next year is actually Mooi's 25th anniversary. So I think probably the expectations to do something big next year are there. So let's see how that evolves.
listeners who didn't go to Milan Design Week, is there somewhere they can find more about your presentation in Milan?
Yeah, I always tell everyone social media is a place to see everything. So we documented very well the projects there. And then, of course, you can go to moooi.com and you can have a deeper dive into reading about all the products that we presented and our launches for the year.
Yeah,
concepts.
What's coming up this year for Moooi? So you said already something about September launch. What else is coming?
Yeah, actually, I can't say because it's a high-profile project that we will launch with a very well-known celebrity-esque person. But really excited about that because this person in particular, he's been around for many years and he is evolving in his career. And I think he has a wonderful message that he's trying to work on right now outside of his genre, which is normally music. So we will be launching that project in September. So that's super exciting. And he's really wonderful. I can't say who it is yet, but he's really wonderful to work with. So I think it will be really fun when we head to the launch.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
I want to know.
It's very funny. I'm very excited.
So thank you for your view on the Milan Design Week 2025. Thank you, Christie Wright, art director at Moooi.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to reflect. So thanks a lot.
Dat was hem weer, de Interieur Club podcast van deze week. Vergeet jezelf niet op te geven voor de Design District Talks op 21, 22 en 23 mei in de iconische Vanellenfabriek in Rotterdam. Iedere dag hebben we weer leuke gasten en een mooi onderwerp voor jou. Ga naar de website om jezelf op te geven en voor een gratis kaartje voor Design District 2025. Bedankt weer voor het luisteren en tot volgende week.